You face the boss of blades.
Hello, Warforged players. This is Boss Blades, and there was a balance change done for May update. If you've been keeping up with the game, you know the Tau have been absurdly broken, absolutely insane stats among all of their cards, and they were actually nerfed in a previous balance patch, and they decided to do some more. So first, Sniper Drone went from a 1-4-3 for 3. Now it has 3 ranged attacks, so it's going to be able to long range a little bit less things than it did. But it also makes it a little bit under cost in terms of the long range having to see viability. And they actually did hit some of the other cards at lower cost, so you don't have the excuse of, well, it's a drone, so it doesn't matter really how much it costs. It does actually matter a little bit now. Crisis Bodyguard is going from 5 ranged attack to 4, so it doesn't trade quite as well with a couple other things, but it is still a very good card, especially in the Battlesuit stack. Weirdly enough, Breacher Shashui is getting from 5 ranged attack to 4, so it's still going to have 5 melee, so I don't think he really even saw much play. Maybe in like some weird infantry deck or draft, but that change didn't really feel like it matters. Piranha is lowering companion from 2 to 1, so instead of getting 2 gun drones, you get 1. That means Piranha likely will see a little bit more play when you get to 5 energy, so you can just play your Piranha and your 1 gun drone instead of waiting till 6 or until you had the Savior protocols to be able to play them for free with the Piranha. So that is a little annoying because you don't get the chance of, or option even, of having 2 gun drones, just 1. Broadside Battlesuit, pretty obvious, yeah. It's going from 6 ranged to 5. It had a little bit too high of range stat for a long range unit, and it is absolutely insane with the pull 2 cards from your deck and give them flank if they're Battlesuits, because that was just 6 ranged. No retaliation, absolute ridiculous, still really good, and definitely a very powerful card. Enforced Battlesuit is going from melee 5 to 4. Similar thing, basically, they're trying to reduce its ability to survive on the melee side, to give you a bit more oomph to be able to attack into it, but it's still going to have 7 ranged attacks, so, I mean, it's still going to hit very well. And it still gives you 2 Guardian Drones, so very good. Razor Shark Fighter, going from Rally deal 3 damage to Rally deal 2 damage. I don't think that card sees play. I don't even think it sees play in draft. Pretty relevant change. Long Strike, big one. Lower melee attack from 4 to 3, so it doesn't trade well on the melee side now as much anymore. And Marker Light's going from 5 to 3. So you still can get anything that has 10 health or less, but the Marker Light 5 is really good against armor, because you were able to do quite a bit through armor. So definitely deserve nerf on the Long Strike, but definitely will still play regardless. Serene Unifier, huge difference here. So it still gives you the invocation, put it in your hand, but everything that gives you Serene Unifier will no longer reduce the cost of the card by 1. One of the really dumb things with the Serene Unifier was being able to stack 0 cost, give a unit a shields in hand, so you could make sure that things had got to keep their long range intact, or just put it on your Warlord and just have protection from like stealth attacks and stuff. Of course, you know, getting 2 mana plus 2 range to your field was kind of insane, and of course 1 mana armor. Definitely going to be a little bit clunkier to try and get Serene Unifier effects off. And instead of costing 5 energy to get the plus 2 range from Stormers of Fire, now it's going to cost 6 if you're using Anba. So that is big change there. It's going to make it a lot less efficient to use your energy for that. Speaking of which, Savior Protocols, the reduce all your drones cost by 1 is going from 3 cost to 4. So it may not even see play more than as a 1 of now, because 4 to increase tempo is a huge drawback to that. Burgeoning Empire is going from cost 7 to 8. I think you'd still run 1 copy in decks that want it. It's not much of a difference considering it literally reduces its costs. So one of the big changes here is the Ultramarines. Ultramarines are getting a huge amount of buffs, and they pretty much just immediately made it so aggro is viable as Ultramarines. Scout is going from 1 health to 2. I mean, I think you run Scout anyway, so that means it just doesn't die from like chip damage from like uriel or something. Firstborn is going from 3 health to 2, but it's getting Codex plus 2 melee plus 2 range plus 1 health, which is actually really good because if you're able to Codex it, it is a 2-drop. So you play a turn 1, well then it's got really good stats. And then if you're able to Codex the next turn and it survives, you can keep doing it. So unless they have like a deal damage or a plus attack or plus range Warlord, it's likely going to stick and be able to just keep getting bigger and bigger. Intercessor Sergeant is going from health 3 to 4. And getting Codex deal 1 to a random enemy troop, so more Codex, very good. Tyrannic War Veteran is going from melee 2 to 3, and changing its description to rally. All enemies lose stealth and camouflage. Finally, there'll be some counterplay to people using stealth and camouflage. Stern Guard Sergeant's going from 3 health to 4, a little bit more survivability. Eliminator is going from melee 1 to 2, so it's able to do a little bit more damage there. Primaris Invader give plus 1 ranged attack to your vehicles, so they're trying to give a little bit things to vehicles to make them somewhat viable, but I don't really think vehicles will even have enough. There isn't really enough vehicles yet to even do stuff with it. Primaris Chaplain is going from melee 4 to 3, but now it's going to include himself in your give melee and range to your troops. So that is a big buff. It will basically go back to the 4 the moment that you actually Codex, but it will also give itself range and then just get upside since then. Aggressor Sergeant's going from blast 1 to 2. So that's good because it can do a little bit more chip damage to stuff when you're swinging into their units, and of course do a little bit more creature control except for like against drones. Apothecary Polixis is going from melee and range to 3-4, but now it's going to heal not just itself, so it's going to heal adjacent units. So it'll help you trade better, it'll help you basically have more survivability, and of course be able to heal your warlord potentially. Storm Talon is going to gain melee from 2 to 4, and that's really annoying that it actually did only have 2. And it's going to get Codex deal 3 to a random enemy troop. So it is a 7-cost card, but that is a really good ability. It might see play in some like control build or build that tries to stack armor or use vehicles. Blade Guard Veterans getting armor 1 and lowering health from 7 to 6. That's a fair trade-off. Armor 1 is definitely better than the extra health, and it could be a little bit more stickier that way against smaller units. Desolation Marine increased health from 6 to 7, probably a minimal change. Devastator Centurion gains Codex gain 1 armor. That could be, yet again, another thing good with the gaining armor stuff. Captain Sicarius is a 9-drop. He's now gaining Codex heal 5 and get Vanguard to your next turn. And he has the talent Greatest Deed, which is a 2-cost spell that gives all of your cards in hand 2-cost reduction. So maybe he'll see play in some top-heavy build. Yeah, because Greatest Deed is now going to do lower cost of all cards in your hand by 2. I don't actually remember what it did before. Shudder Location is going to go to give camouflage to your troops, which could be useful. Knights of McCraig is going to give plus 1 melee, plus 1 ranged, and plus 1 health to your troops. Instead of 2 melee this turn temporarily, it now gives permanent stat buffs to make your things a little bit more stickier and also be able to help them on both melee and ranged. Definitely could see playing in like an aggro build. Armor Support is going to increase cost from 3 to 4. Change description for the rest of the match. Give armor 1 to vehicles you put in play. So that could be one of the things that you use the vehicles. You don't get like a cost reduction, but armor 1 can make your things really sticky. But from people who have said it's not really seeing a lot of play because it does cost 4. That's a lot. Gather the Company is going from 5 cost to 6, and it's going to change to draw 3 cards for every troop drawn, refill 1 energy. You could see it play in a Codex deck because you could basically get draw 3 for 3, and it could trigger your Codex on 6, and then give you back 3 to trigger Codex again. But 6 is still a lot, and you do have to actually draw troops for it to matter. Maybe if there's like a deck that just runs a lot of troops, it could work. Or like some weird Varo Taurus deck that just uses that and the next card. and maybe the refill 2 energy, so you could trigger potentially Codex 3 times in a turn. That'd be insane. And the huge change here is Avenging Zeal. It is going from give +2 melee and +2 range to all units in play and in your hand, but now it will also lower the cost by 1 whenever a friendly unit triggers Codex. So it works really well if you run a limited amount of stratagems with Varataris, but also it is just a very insanely powerful card now, because you can potentially cast it for 0 and give a buff to your whole field and your hand. Now it does say units, so it does include your Warlord, which means the earlier it is, the better, because you'll be a 4/4 Warlord, which is insane. The Sautekh Dynasty is getting a lot of changes here. Some of them are very interesting. The Nemazir Zondrik ones are really good. So Frenzied is no longer existent. It's going to be called Destroyer. The units will no longer attack immediately. They now have a different effect that if they could kill a unit, they instead cannot attack a different target. So if you have a 3 power and your opponent has something with 3 health or less, then you'd have to choose that unit with 3 health or less. But if everything they have has more health than things that you can attack whatever you want. Then Nemazir Zendrik is getting a huge change. It is gaining the new ability that adjacent remnants do not disappear at the end of your turn, but it will still do the Relentless March to summon a Necron warrior. So it lets you keep your remnants up that are adjacent, even if they your opponent would have to actually attack into them or to deal damage to them to remove them, which means that a lot of random effects like the Ultramarines do might accidentally hit remnants you don't care about, but also means you're more likely to actually keep reanimate targets in play for remnants. Necron Warrior is getting a very different change. It's going from 3 range to be a 2/2/2 for 2, and it is now gaining Vanguard. So Nemazir Zandrik now can summon Vanguard units, which can be very good for trying to sustain. Gauss Warrior is going from health 2 to 3, means it's going to not die just from a Warlord attack, which is good. Flayed One's getting a huge change. Instead of getting 1 reanimated flank, now it gains Fast. Fast meaning it can attack whatever you want, but since it does have the new Destroyer ability, if your opponent has anything with 4 health or less, then you will have to attack that. But if all your opponent has is the Warlord, it does have the Remnant ability, so you could basically use it, deal your opponent 4 damage, reanimate the Flayed One, and then hit them again. So you could do a bunch of damage if your opponent has smaller field, or you could just use it for a lot of clearing, as you would previously with Flank. Having a win condition is definitely a good thing for the Sautekh. And Canoptech Plasmacytes going from 3 health to 4 to changing to Flying Remnant, Stealth. And when you deploy your troop with Frenzied, well, I guess Destroyer, they didn't change this here, they should probably change that. You give it Regenerate 1. Regenerate 1 being pretty interesting. Because the thing is, a lot of things that have the Destroyer ability may not even be able to regenerate, because they might just be dying, or your opponent kills them, but it is a buff nonetheless. Goss Immortal was going from increased range from 3 to 4, so it can hit a little bit more things. Canoptic Reanimator is going to a 2/5 health, and its talent will now still give you a reanimate, but also it will reanimate a friendly remnant upon playing it as a rally. So it is a little bit weaker, but it does give you a free remnant back, which you can never have enough in that particular kind of build. Canoptic Wrath is getting remnant. Psychomancer is getting remnant. Night Scythe is going from 4 to 5, so it can do a very good flank ranged hit. Chronomancer has remnant, and friendly remnants do not disappear at the end of your turn, but it has the talent Remnant Reanimate, so you can get the remnants back, and of course it works for your whole field, not just as Nemazir does for just what your front units are. So if you put him next to your Nemazir, you can potentially be able to reanimate a lot more stuff. Very different kind of change. I think it is good compared to what it was before. Lichguard is going from 4 attack to 5, so it'll be able to kill a little bit more things, but it's still just an annoying thing. You can pull it back, because it does have the Remnant ability. Command Barge is going to get Reanimate as a talent, and of course get Flying. It's weird it didn't have Flying, but now it does. Royal Warden has Remnant now. Scorpilord has Remnant, and the Destroyer ability. They need to fix that in this patch as well. And when an enemy dies, gain +1 melee and +1 ranged. So now it can actually buff up, get a little bit bigger, and be able to attack into stuff a little better. Necron Lord, the Overlord powers are now going to be Reanimation Protocol, Hyperlogical Strategist, and Curse of the Pharaon. I'm not really sure what those do, but I'm guessing they're pretty good. Monolith is now going to, as if it needed more help than what it did. Now it has Artifice to deploy a Necron Warrior, so now you have the ability to spam the field with more Vanguard abilities. Pretty damn good for a 10-drop. Solar Pulse is now going to, in addition to blinding all enemies, they will lose stealth and camouflage, which is a thing that they seem to be doing for a lot of the units, because otherwise there was no counterplay to stealth and camouflage, and now there is. Mortal Prize, lowering cost from 6 to 5, and changing the description to give 1 armor to your units. So that includes your Warlord as well, so you'll have permanent Warlord like a Scarboys. And same cost at 5, but instead of healing you, it says your Warlord Talent costs 1 less. So now you can summon Necron Warriors and Namek for just 1, or you can even just use Imatech and just get to 2 to the top of your deck for free. Of course, you just get free Artifice triggers at that point too. Annihilation Command is going to be changed to Undying Legions, cost to 5, and the rest of this battle, whenever a friendly troop becomes a remnant, it gains shield. Complete overhaul of the card, making it a pretty interesting thing, because now you could get like a Lich Guard that has shield, and having the remnant have shield is kind of pretty good, but it does cost 5 for this ability. So it's on par with a card that does not see play in Tau, which is the drone thing. Yeah, because they changed that from 4 to 5, and now it's basically unplayable. Saim-Hann, they're getting Rangers going from Camouflage to Stealth, which is understandably way better. But remember, there are things that will remove Stealth. But having Stealth on a thing that has Waystone means you're more likely to get the Waystones. Dire Avenger is going from melee attack 1-2, and going to Waystone Shuriken 2, which makes it a little bit better hitting. Swooping Hawk is going from 3 health to 4, just a little bit harder to kill. On a 3-drop, 4 health is very good. Wraithguard is going to lower Spirit Stone's cost from 2 to 1. That makes it a lot better for what it's worth. Going from 2 to 1, that's a 100% decrease in cost. So, well, 50%, I guess. Yeah, but so that's very good for a Wraithguard. But Saim-Hann definitely needs a lot of work to actually be viable, I imagine. Dire Avenger Exarch's changing from a Waystone Shuriken 2, but now it'll also have all enemies lose stealth and camouflage. So now they actually also have counterplay to stealth and camouflage. Witchfire is going from cost 2 to 1, as it should. It's pretty much on par with other talents. Then even Hive Fleet Legion's getting stuff. Gargoyle's getting flank. So you could potentially drop multiple flankers thanks to the Tide ability. And of course, they need to be careful with the Hive Fleet Legion, because anything with flank can potentially be insanely strong. But Gargoyle seems like a fair card to give it to. Revener is going to get something, finally, an ability. Its ability is pretty good. It's actually a lot what people are talking about. You deal 3 damage to a random enemy in stealth, and then it loses stealth. So that's very good. That makes the card somewhat playable, especially if you're playing against a lot of stealth. Darkened Skies will now deal 1 damage to all enemies. Don't remember what it did before. Gracious Hunger is going to get nerfed a little bit. It is going to do from 5 cost to 6, and it's going to deal 3 damage to all enemies, and for each one that dies, it heals 2 to a friendly unit instead of 2 damage. So it costs more, but it's going to deal 3 damage. 3 damage being a more relevant number for such as killing drones. Then, of course, Hive Fleet Legion is going from 7 to 6. That seems on par with what it should cost, because you have 6, you add a minion to hand from your deck, and then all your minions cost 1 less for the rest of the game. 6 seems like a fair cost for that ability. And that is all of the balance changes that they did. The balance patch is actually already live at this point. And thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. And Boss Blades out. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.